Hello, children. Welcome you all to 10th Standard English class. In the previous class, I had started a lesson, What is Moral Action, written by M.K. Gandhi. We came to know about what is moral, immoral, and non moral act. Today, we will learn the criteria to consider an act as a moral one. Open your textbook, page number 73, children. Point number 2, in which the author Mahatma Gandhi speaks about the first criteria. I will be reading the lesson. Please follow as I read. A moral act must be our own act, must spring from our own will. If we act mechanically, there is no moral content in our act. Such action would be moral if we think it proper to act like a machine and do so. For in doing so, we use our discrimination. We should bear in mind the distinction between acting mechanically and acting intentionally. It may be moral of a king to pardon a culprit, but the messenger bearing the order of pardon plays only a mechanical part in the king's moral act. But if the messenger were to bear the king's order, considering it to be his duty, his action would be a moral one. So, the first criteria is an act must be our own act and must spring from our own will. Please underline this, children. When we are performing an act on somebody's pressure, it will be considered as mechanical act. Instead, perform an act with an intention that you must do it. Then it can be considered as an intentional act. Author here suggests an example of the messenger bearing the order of a pardon. Here on the screen, you can find a picture of a king and a messenger. It may be moral of a king to pardon a culprit. Here, pardon refers to forgiving, and culprit refers to a person who is responsible for an offense, or in other words, a person who has committed a wrong act. But the messenger bearing the order of pardon plays only a mechanical part in the king's moral act, because the messenger performs the act just for the sake of the king. When it is so, it is a mechanical act. But if the messenger were to bear the king's order, considering it to be his duty, his action would be a moral one. So, if a person considers his act as a duty, then such act can be called as a moral one. How can a man understand morality who does not use his own intelligence and power of thought, but lets himself be swept along like a log of wood by a current? Here, the author says that there are some people in the society who do not think of morality. They do not use their own intelligence and power of thought. Author here compares such people to that of the log of wood, which just floats as per the flow of the water. Sometimes a man defies convention and acts on his own with a view to do absolute good. Such a great hero was Wendell Phillips. The portrait you can see on the screen is of Wendell Phillips. Gandhiji says, sometimes a man defies, means challenges, convention, which refers to customs, and acts on his own with a view to do absolute good. Many times we have seen people who don't care for the society, but their intention will be to do a good act. Such a great hero was Wendell Phillips. Wendell Phillips was an American abolitionist and social reformer. He became the leader of anti-slavery movements and most powerful orator. He asks people to think of their own and express their opinion. Only then action becomes moral. Blindly following the customs and traditions does not involve morality. Action should be done of our own will without a thought of reward. Only then it becomes a moral act. Addressing an assembly of people, Wendell Phillips once said, "Till you learn to form your own opinions and express them, I do not care much what you think of me." Thus, when we all care only for what our conscience says, then alone can we be regarded to have stepped onto the moral road. We shall not reach this stage as long as we do not believe and experience the belief that God within us, the God of all, is the ever present witness to all our acts. The author M.K. Gandhi tells us that we have to listen to our conscience, that is our inner voice. Then we can decide what is good and what is bad. We do not reach this stage unless we have a belief that God is within us and everywhere and witnesses our acts. Moving on to the next criteria. It is not enough that an act done by us is in itself good, but it should have been done with the intention to do good. Underline this criteria, children. That is to say, whether an act is moral or otherwise depends upon the intention of the doer. Two men may have done exactly the same thing, but the act of one may be moral and that of the other the contrary. Take, for instance, a man who, out of great pity, feeds the poor, and another who does the same but with the motive of winning prestige or with some such selfish end. Though the action is the same, the act of one is moral and that of the other non moral. The reader here ought to remember the distinction between the two words, non moral and immoral. It may be that we do not always see good results flowing from a moral act. While thinking of morality, all that we need to see is that the act is good and is done with a good intention. The result of an action is not within our control. God alone is the giver of fruit. Historians have called Emperor Alexander great. Wherever he went, in the course of his conquest, he took the Greek language and Greek culture, arts, and manners. And today, we enjoy the benefits of Greek civilization. But the intention of Alexander behind all this was only conquest and renown. Who can therefore say that his actions were moral? It was all right that he was termed great, but moral he cannot be called. Author in this paragraph gives us two examples to prove that the act done by us is in itself good and it should be done with the intention to do good. The first example is feeding the poor people. For instance, a man who out of great pity feeds the poor and another who does the same but with the motive of winning prestige or with some selfish end. The action which has been done by both the people is same, but the act done by the first person is moral because he really feels pity towards the poor and feeds them. But the second person has a motive of winning prestige and with a selfish end, he serves the poor people. Such an act cannot be called a moral one. Second example, which has been given by the author, is about the Emperor Alexander the Great. King Alexander has been described by the historians as great. During his conquest, he took the Greek language, culture, arts, and manners to other countries. But the intention behind that act was only conquest and fame. So, the author clearly says that Alexander may be considered as great because of his intention of spreading Greek language culture to the entire world. But the intention was not good because he was selfish that he wanted to conquer the entire world for name and fame. Hence, Such an act cannot be called as a moral one. Assignment of the day. First one. Name the first two criterias for an act to be considered as a moral act. Second, why does Gandhiji say that Alexander's conquests cannot be called as moral action? Thank you, children.